welcome to the Zac Brown Show, the show that introduces you to old friends for the first time. I'm your host, Zac Brown. On this episode, I talk with Lou Mongello of WDW Radio. We talk about the importance of choosing the good and how positivity can change the world around us. Our conversation right after this. I love coffee. It's part of my morning routine. Without it, I just don't feel like myself. Allow me to introduce you to the official coffee of the Zac Brown Show. Located in Columbia, Tennessee, Oak Hill Farm Coffee Roasters offers a delicious variety of roasts and blends. Every bag of coffee you buy will help mission and humanitarian projects all around the world. What's better than a cup of coffee? A cup of coffee that helped make a difference. Oak Hill Farm Coffee Roasters. Wake up, drink coffee, and go do something great. Well, Lou, thanks for coming on. I just appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to sit down and talk about your favorite subject, yourself. Just kidding, but just to be here and hang out for a little bit.
Nah, brother. Thank you so much for inviting me. I love what you've done with the place. So
it's hopefully a nice, comfortable, welcoming environment for all. So I think everybody has the thing that they're really good at, or the thing that they they're packaging. You know, they might say, oh, I'm a musician, this is who I am, or I'm the Disney guy, this is what I do. But I think that's just the wrapper. It's kind of the vehicle that really gets who you really are to where you want to go. And everybody knows Lou Mongello as the Disney guy, or the trivia guy, or the food guy. But here's the thing. Lou Mongello is, yes, he's the Disney guy, but I think that's what carries who he really is, which is you're the positive guy. You are the guy that is the light in the dark spaces. And so I kind of want to just walk through that journey with you. So let's start talking about, just kind of get it out of the way, growing up Disney. What was that like in your household?
So first of all, that was fascinating and opened up all kinds of interesting mental doors for me. But you know what? There wasn't, if I look back on my childhood, I would never sort of categorize it as growing up Disney. Like, Disney was there. It was a place that we went. It was a place that brought us joy, but it's not like my room was filled with Mickey Mouse and posters and all I did was watch. Well, I mean, all I did was watch cartoons, but not only Disney cartoons, but it was this place that we went to every year where, and look, my parents were very, very present. We had a very, very close family, but I think there was something about that place that still exists today, that when you walk through those portals, everything else is sort of just stripped away. Something, I know this sounds like I'm a crazy person, but something happens, and all of the pressures and the stresses and all of the mental weight that we sometimes carry goes away. And some of the best memories I had as a child growing up were spent both on our way to Disney, because we drove, and at Disney. And I think that's where this whole thing really got started for me.
The thing I think that so many people are drawn to about Disney, like you said, when you walk through those gates, something happens, whether it's mental or it's physical or spiritual. I don't care what it is for you. It's undeniable that there is something there. And sure, we've all seen those people having the meltdowns. You know, it's been a long day. It's been hot. We've been waiting in this line for a little bit longer than we had really anticipated. But for the most part, you really see that uninhibited joy. And I love seeing, like, grandpa sitting with their grandkids, and they're maybe singing the song that's kind of playing nearby, or they're finding just the simple pleasures of being together. And I think that the one thing that place truly inspires is it causes us to dream, maybe for the first time in a long time, but it causes possibility to rise to the top. There's opportunity, there is hope, there is joy. There's always adventure. Like Magic Kingdom's the storybook. Epcot is full of inspiration. Animal Kingdom causes us to learn. And then the studios, we really get to go into some of our favorite adventures and be Luke Skywalker or Indiana Jones or Steven Tyler, if that's your thing. But it all comes down to, I think, the simple thing of it is a positive, very positive space. And I think it's for a lot of us, we just kind of want to go back to that place time and time again for either escapism or just to be in that place with our family. And those like myself, like yourself, who said, you know what, like we are going to pack up the Roadster and pack up everything, stick it on top of the car, the moving van, whatever, and we have to get down to this place. So tell me about your process of making that decision and landing here.
So I just want to quickly circle back to something that you said about this Walt Disney World and places like Magic Kingdom being places of incredible opportunity. And you talked about the places of making memories and the thing that you can do. I will tell you that my favorite example, and I will call this an extinct attraction, at least it is currently, and I hope it comes back. Excuse me. But one of the things that I would love to see when I went to Magic Kingdom, and there was a few locations, but I'm thinking specifically on Main Street, USA, in front of the confectionery, in between the confectionery and the Chapeau hat shop, there used to be a small table and 2 chairs and a checker set. And it was always fascinating for me to walk by and watch dad and son, mother, daughter, grandfather and grandson sitting there in Walt Disney World, this place that you dream about going to and spend money to go to, and enjoying that simple game of checkers. It was there. It was on Tom Sawyer Island and a couple of locations. And that always struck me as what this place means and what it represents for families, for friends, and in terms of that opportunity to come together and enjoy some of those simple pleasures, like you said. And as for me, I forget your question, but I think it was something about my journey down here.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we took 75 south until we got to south. You don't mean it that way. That's not exactly
not the exact specific.
That's the physical journey.
Yeah.
Although I will say, south of the border was not always what I remembered it to be as a child. Last time I saw it. Look, I think that life is a series of risks, and I look at them more as leaps of faith. And, the very short Reader's Digest condensed version of my story is that I was a lawyer. I had this IT consulting company. I wrote this book. I start going down this Disney path, never think it would be anything more than just seeing if I could write the book and get it published. And as I started to see that it was becoming more than what I expected it to, it was fear that motivated me to take a leap of faith. And it wasn't fear of failure. It was a fear of regret. That 5, 10, 20 years would go by, and I'd look back and go, I wonder what would have happened if I would have given this Disney thing a shot. And I think fear can be a great motivator. It still remains a great motivator. So it was that positive fear, because I'm a big believer in what if, and it's not what if I fail, but what if it works? What if I could make this thing happen? And if it doesn't, I could at least say that I tried. And I will move on to do whatever I need to do next. So it was a huge leap of faith, and I had no business plan, game plan, idea how I was going to do it, but I knew that I had to give that. I had to give it a shot, and there was a lot of faith in many different aspects. There's a lot of faith in that journey, and one that continues to this still is a journey that is built on that faith.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like taking that journey, and it's huge. I think so many people, like you're saying, live in that fear of what if it fails? But it's such a fine line when you tip it to the other side to say, but yeah, what if it works? A friend of mine always says that you don't boo the batter that steps into the box and swings and strikes out, because he had the courage to step into the box. He had the courage to swing, knowing that he might not hit it. He still swung. You boo the guy that watches all 4 balls go by and nothing happens. It's like, no, like he got up, you try. And I think that's a phenomenal thing, because what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out and you move on. You're a better person for trying. You're a better person. You gained experience in that failure. And I'm very
there's learning opportunities along the way. You only fail when you quit. And I believe that 100%. But along the way, everything that you do, you hopefully learn from and improve and get better.
Absolutely. I mean, it's those things that they all build upon each other. Life is just string of collective nows, whether they be quote unquote successes, quote unquote failures. It's all building who you are, who your story is. And hopefully, whatever those experiences are, good or bad, you're also able to pass that along to someone else and help them along their journey. Ultimately, making your quote unquote bad things good things because they help somebody else. And again, going back to kind of the initial statement, you being a Disney guy, as most people see, again, I truly believe that that is just the vehicle to get what you really are to other people. And it's kind of funny because I think a lot of people, whether they, use their platform for whatever their reason, there had to be an initial thing, whether that be acting or a book or a podcast. They kind of had to do something to get themselves out into the public eye. So that way they could kind of gain credibility and to share what they really hope to offer with the world. And your podcast has been obviously award winning and has been a very constant in a lot of people's lives. And I know I'm thankful for it. I enjoy it. WDW radio is a fun time, no matter what the topic is. If you're a Disney lover of any form, it's a good time. But one of your key components, one of your phrases is choose the good. And I kind of think the little brother to that statement is be the good. Was that something that, again, has been a part of your life? Was that something that was in your home? Maybe your parents bestowed upon you, or did something maybe, horrible happen, or maybe something wonderful happen that was birthed out of? Where does that come from?
So it's funny, man. I don't think those words ever actually came out of my mouth until maybe a year ago. And it was not something I thought of. It just sort of fell out, either on a live show or on a podcast or something. And I think it's certainly something that I will attribute to my parents. I would never admit it to them now, but I would, I'm obviously they realize, because I think that's what it's what they had imparted on me growing up, especially my dad. My dad would always find, the good part of any situation. And I think, with COVID, I continue to say that there's opportunity in adversity. And I think COVID and 2020 as a whole really, for a lot of people, tested the limits of patience and kindness and understanding. And I don't even remember what context it was. But it was this idea of we have the power to make a conscious choice about how we approach things. And instead of sometimes taking the easy road and complaining that, the service wasn't great, the movie wasn't perfect, you didn't like this, you didn't like that, especially if we go out to something like that, to a movie or to dinner or whatever, we want that thing to be good. So why would I not try and extract the best that I can from that? I would choose the good. I would choose to find the good in that and any experience. And I think that bleeds over to choosing the good in people and in situations that you encounter. And I believe that positivity is contagious, man. And if you choose the good, and like you said, you be the good, you act on that in a very sort of affirmative manner, there is that ripple effect. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you can say and look back, whether it be on your day, your week, or your life, and say, I had a positive effect on somebody. Like, I think that's something to strive towards and be proud of.
And I absolutely agree. Like you said, positivity is contagious. It's something that, honestly, positivity is one of those things. It's like exercise. Sometimes you don't want to do it because it's difficult and it takes work. I think a lot of people will see like the positivity guy or the guy who's always happy or, again, trying to look for the good. And they might be annoyed by that because they haven't stretched their positive muscles for a while. And it's easy to get into that slump, into that rut, and just be like, well, it's just easy. It's easier to be negative. I'm sure that you have had your fair share of people who have been like, gosh, that Lou guy, like he's always so happy. That's so annoying. Like he never has anything bad to say.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, I hate that guy. But here's the thing, like if we all could be perfectly honest, do we want to be around the negative guy? Do we want to be around the positive guy? Like, we're looking for that person that is encouraging in our lives. And whether that's Lou or myself or somebody else that you know, like, we all need that person that is well, helping encourage us to get us to where we're going. And we need that. We need to be more of those people. We need to choose the good to be the good. You know, it's the battle every day to be better, you know, to love on people, to build them up. You know, I think
when I was a kid, my mother used to say, I just thought about this. When I was a kid, my mother used to say all the time that misery loves company. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, that's not true. And she's like, you'll see. Because I had friends sometimes that were unhappy and they didn't like if you were. Like, if I'm unhappy, you're going to be unhappy. And I think that, you know, that's very much the case now, especially with social media, where it's easier to broadcast that 100%. Type of message. And I think you're right. We have the choice as to who we want to surround ourselves with.
I was just thinking, I was like, the tagline for Twitter should be "Misery Loves Company."
Yes, right.
Movie trailers and Misery Loves Company. And that's what we just need so much more of. I mean, like you're saying, with 2020, how it's really tested people, and to see what they'd put up with, good or bad. Because I think here's the thing, like I've said this before on the show, I so applaud the quote unquote creatives through 2020, because it was like a lot of what they were doing, whether they were, you know, musicians and they were not allowed to tour anymore and to hold large gatherings, or filmmakers, their process being very different, it really caused them to step back and go, okay, how can I still communicate who I am and what I love? So a lot of podcasts were birthed through 2020 because people were home and they had time to listen. They had time to sit in a closet and record or whatever. You know, we saw a lot of those reunion type shows with guys who were doing, they were reconnecting. You know, they had time to reconnect with their loved ones again. I mean, I loved watching, you know, the guys from Ferris Bueller or Ghostbusters. You know, they were suddenly forced to stop and step back, and I think take in account really what mattered and kind of the root of why they do what they do and who they are. So again, positivity being contagious. How do you, Lou Mongello, like my friend, a person who is all about the positive and looking for the good, how do you sustain that? How do you continue being that guy? Now, obviously, you're human. You have your days when you just want to like knock somebody out, or you just want to scream at the sky or whatever. But what do you do? What are maybe some personal things that you do that just keep that torch going?
And you're right, man. You do. I am human, and I have and look, I am very transparent. Again, my mother used to say it as a kid, and I guess it continues true now, which I think is important. Especially as somebody who does put themselves out there, whether it be on a podcast or if you have a video or a blog, whatever it is, it's important that the person you are in that medium is the person that you are in real life, which not everybody is, and sometimes is surprising to people.
Yeah.
But because I treat people like they're my friends, I have no problem being very open and emotional. And when you do things like live video, you know, people can see it, you know, especially if they know you, like they can tell if something's wrong. And we do have ups and downs. But again, it's making that choice. Am I going to let this thing define me and defeat me, or am I going to try and, you know, get myself out of this rut at some point? Usually a bag of Doritos is involved, but am I going to get myself out of this rut and, you know, to use a Waltism, you got to keep moving forward, because otherwise what are you going to do, man? Are you going to sit on your couch and sulk or be mad or be miserable? Or are you going to say, hey, like, life is too short. I can get hit by a truck tomorrow. Like, I need to get up and get moving and change my attitude. And yeah, man, there are certainly some days it's a lot tougher than others. I think sometimes God gives us, you know, certain tests to keep us on our toes. But attitude is important, and how we address and how we face those challenges is what sort of helps to define us. And sometimes you need help. You know, not everybody can do it by themselves. Sometimes you need help too.
Yeah. And I think, you said wall, to kind of made me think that when he was a kid, I read the story one time that he was out, he was growing up in the cold north where they have snow and just kind of kicking blocks of ice as he was going down the road. And there happened to be a nail frozen in one, and it went into his foot and it caused him to be, bedridden for a little bit while he was healing. And he took that time to work on his drawing. Like that was one of the places where it's like a 7-year-old kid or whatever, in the beginning of that story was that he was wearing a brand new pair of boots, which was a very big deal. And he loved these boots. And because of the nail, they literally had to cut this brand new pair of shoes off of his feet. Any other kid would just be probably pitching a fit and be, my shoes are done. I got to sit in bed. I can't go out and play with my brothers and my friends, whatever. But he took that moment and was like, okay, how can I take this thing that is the most annoying thing in the world to me right now and make it work for me, make it, if you have a complication, employ it, Richard Sherman once wrote. And there's those moments in life where I think we really have to stop and just go, am I going to let whatever this is defeat me? Or am I going to choose to rise above it? Again, keep moving forward. Just go, what can I make out of this? Lemons out of lemon or lemonade out of lemons has been the 2020 song. But now I think that we're in this recovery mode of 2021 where I think people are a little gun shy. They're kind of like, I don't want to get too invested in something. But there's also this, like, I think slow rumbling underneath the surface that we're all just kind of going, okay, what is next? Where can we go from here? And I do think that it's the positivity, it's that attitude it's kind of spearheading this motion, this drive to get us to the next and get us out of the now.
And look, 2020 is a great example. 2020 is the macrocosm of the nail in the boot, right? We have adversity. How do you deal with it? And I am very much well aware that, different people have different situations, and some are clearly much more dire than others. And sure. I acknowledge that and I get it. However, I looked at 2020 and it was the same thing. Do I sit on my couch and sulk and binge watch insert favorite show here and just, eat pints of ice cream every night? Or do I do something about it? And I looked at 2020 and there literally was like a moment for me. And I'm like, wait, like you've got the blessing of the one thing we all complained we didn't have enough of, which is time. You literally could not go anywhere. You could not go out and spend money. So now you've got this time. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to binge watch? And that's cool if you want to do it. Or are you going to take that idea, that project, that dream, whatever it is, and start doing something about it? And this is not meant to sound like a plug, but a big part of the reason why I wrote and published the book that I did was, one, to prove to myself that I could do it, right? And I wanted to be an example for others. Like, look, I'm going to take this time. I'm going to use it in a positive way, and there will be something good that comes from it, because I wanted other people to go, well, Jesus, if Luke could do it, I could do it too. But it is, man, how we approached that time and what we did with it, and even now going forward is critical. And turning something that's very, very negative, like COVID, like quarantine, into, all right, wait, I've got this time. I've got the internet. Like, what can I do in order to make a positive out of a negative?
Yeah.
Hang tight. We'll be right back.
Enter into a world of pure ecstasy. Is it day? Is it night? We'll never tell. Leave your cares and better judgment behind. Flamingo. The Neon Flamingo is the place to be if where you really want to be is closed. Desperation. Get swept up in the rhythmic sounds of Dion Coulter and his Rainbow Machine. At the Neon Flamingo, all your dreams can come true, but only if you dream of dancing with a woman named Tammy. Join us on Tuesday nights for the Glow Raid and all-you-can-eat croutons at the Salad Bar. The Neon Flamingo Dance Club. Mistakes will be made. Flamingo.
There are so many moments, and I think everything goes through phases, where all of a sudden you get really jazzed about that idea, where you're like, okay, I'm going to blaze through. I've got this thing, and this might be crazy, and let's do it. And then as soon as you step out of that boat and you start going and go, okay, this is a little bit harder than I anticipated. And I think a lot of things there's this breaking point right there where one, you go, okay, I'm going to go forward. But there's this, I think, unfortunately, this pressure that we put on ourselves that if we don't achieve things in a certain amount of time, and we don't hit so many numbers of, say, downloads or streams or whatever, that we have this feeling we're comparing ourselves to someone else. And for some reason, we feel that our internal settings should match somebody else's. And then if we're not hitting those same numbers, there's those same benchmarks, that we're somehow not succeeding. And it's something that we've put on ourselves as a society, whether it just be here in America or if it's worldwide, whatever, that we just kind of feel like there's a feeling of almost like failure or even shame that you're not like holding this, you're embarrassed. But those are the moments when we just really have to just be like, okay, like I have hit this mark, like the first 10, the first 100, or man, just getting out and doing it is success because you've started something and you're doing something, you're learning, you're growing. And I think so many people need to remember that your numbers, your success should not be based on anybody else's but your own, because their story is not your story. Their successes may influence you. They might encourage you, but that's not your story. Like your story is your story. People could say, okay, this is exactly what Lou did. This is how he wrote his book. This is how he made his website. This is what he did his podcast. Like, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And this is how you find success. Like, I'm going to all of a sudden get, all these things that he has, and it's going to work out. But they can't, because they are themselves. You know what I mean? And I think that people need to just like kind of relax a little bit and just be happy to be like themselves and to find that rhythm, that path.
As you were talking, I quickly looked down at my phone because I remember seeing, I got an email and there was a statistic about the number of new shows, the number of new podcasts that have been created in 2020, clearly as a direct result of the pandemic. And it's literally thousands a day. Wow. Right. Which I think is amazing, because I think that speaks volumes about exactly what you're talking about, is that people utilize the time. They had this opportunity to all of a sudden create and get creative. And you and I have talked a lot offline, man. And I am not a numbers guy. Like, the numbers don't matter to me, other than looking at a number to just make sure your podcast is actually working. But understanding that number, whether it's 770 or 700 or 7,000 downloads an episode, there's a person on the other side. There's a soul. There's somebody that is taking their time, again, their most valuable commodity, and sharing it with you. And, I don't look at the numbers because I don't care. And what I mean by that is I don't care about growing. I care about the people who are there. And I care about the person that is giving me their time and sharing it with me. And I think if you do that and you care at scale, your numbers will grow organically, because we are in a time in a society where much of what we do and the choices that we make are often based on the recommendations of friends and family, right?
Absolutely.
And I think, look, that's a Disney thing, right? I say this all the time. I think Disney could pull every advertisement off TV, the internet. Why? Because people don't go to Disney World because they see a commercial with a kid and a princess. They go because their friends, their coworkers come back and go, oh my God, we just came back from Disney and this amazing thing happened. We were doing this and this cast member did X. We were doing this and my daughter did, which again speaks volumes, because it's not about the attractions, right? It's about the experiences. Yeah. But when we hear that, that's why we go and do it. So when we hear, gosh, this guy, Zac, you got to listen to him. Like, he's so inspiring and he's so smart and he's so handsome. Like, you need to listen to his show, because you're going to get this value. You're going to get this entertainment as a result from it. And that's why the numbers don't matter. Like, you care about the people that are listening, and hopefully you grow a community of people who become your most passionate and positive evangelists, which is really what you're trying to build.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to what I was saying about like the positivity being like working out or a muscle. It is just getting that out there and doing it. And, it's like if you go out and you exercise, or that time that maybe it's 20 minutes at the gym and you finish and you're like, I'm tired, but I feel great. Or those people that run for whatever reason that they do it. I've never seen anyone chasing them. So that doesn't seem like it's actual need, but God bless them. Those
Listen,
people
you have to stop it all. You have to stop talking about this exercise. It makes me very uncomfortable. And I think that you're giving me a subtle hint that I need to get up and actually start moving.
No. I mean, if that's what you were needing to hear, I mean, I'm happy to provide that, but it's getting out there and doing that thing and knowing like whatever you've done. And again, like you're saying, it's not about numbers, but hitting your personal goal, your own win. You know what I mean? It creates that synergy. It's the domino effect where you're like, I did this. I feel amazing. I want to go tell other people, like, whatever it is that you're looking to do, whatever you've been putting on hold because of fear or just I don't have time or whatever. Like, if you want it, go get it. If you need time, schedule the time. Make appointments for yourself. You know, put it in your calendar. Be like, I'm going to work for an hour and get this thing done. Think about all the things that are amazing in this world that just because somebody just took a little time to maybe figure them out. And who knows, whatever your thing is.
And you need to make the time. Like, I think that's part of the issue too, is that time is not something that's given to you. You have to make it. And, you know, I don't care who you look up to that is a quote unquote success in your eyes. I will guarantee you that their story involves the word sacrifice and a whole lot of it. Whether you're starting look, you know, and I'll go back 15, 16 years to 17 years. So when I first started doing this, there was and continues to be a lot of sacrifices that you don't talk about, whether it's time spent with your family. Hey, I can't do this because I need to go devote my time. Time spent away from maybe the things, the relaxing things that you want to do because you need to stay up later. You need to get up earlier. You need to work a little bit harder, whatever it might be. And sometimes that's the hard part is saying, hey, I want to write this book, but I don't have time. Well, then you make the time. And you're like, well, I only have X amount of hours a day. Well, then you get up a half hour earlier and you write 500 words a day. And you'll be surprised because at the end of the month, your book is done, you know, or you have built up that momentum that now all of a sudden you're starting to get that feeling. And then you want to get up earlier and you want to stay up later in order to hit that goal that you set for yourself.
I caught myself recently saying something to somebody where they're talking about, again, a project. And I was just like, I was texting them and I just said, I just don't have any extra time. And I stopped and I realized that I was sitting and watching Netflix. Right? I mean, that was like such this like cold water in the face where I was like, oh, I do have that time. It's just what am I making my priority? Is my priority to binge through this season to catch up or to feel completed like I've made this thing? Or do I want to stop and go take that extra half hour or 45 minutes to devote it, like you're saying, to that thing, to move the ball down the field, whatever that is. I don't care if you're putting a garden in your backyard. If that is your goal, if that brings you joy, quality of life, and it creates that positivity that you're sharing with others, turn off the Netflix. I'm not bashing Netflix. It's really taking an account, a step back and just saying, where's the drain? Where's the time going that I need to really like direct that to what I need to do, what I want.
And what's important to you? It's a very subjective question. You know, nobody can tell you what should be important. You need to decide that. If it's time spent with family, if it's time spent with friends, if it's working on this project, if it's, you know, whatever, that's a choice that you have the power to make and that you need to make.
Yeah, for sure. It's about making that time. Like you're saying, it's there. You just have to make it. There's that fine balance of sacrifice, but also making sure that you're not neglecting what truly matters. I mean, yes, there are times when you're gonna be like, honey, I got to go work on this thing, but then also be like, you got to put that aside because they're here right now and you got to love on people. So people and time, man, they are the only two things that I think that we have that once they're gone, they're gone. I mean, thankfully there's memories of time and people, but it's like, give them respect, give them your devotion, and just show them what they mean. Show that time what it means. Show those people what they mean. Just love people.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it? You know, it sounds like be nice. Like be nice to people. Be good to people. You know, love other. Yeah, but the execution's a little bit different in the real world, I guess.
But see, that's why I'm an idealist, and I try to surround myself with other positive people, but that have just the right amount of all right, bring it back. No, let's look at the reality of the situation.
Listen, if you ever need a reality check, just go to Twitter, and that'll ground you.
Exactly. Here's what I think, and then you'll get 9,000 reasons why.
If you're ever having a good day and want to really bring yourself down, just go check out Twitter.
Thank you so much for being here, Lou. I love talking with you. I love your perspective, and I want to thank you so much for being a positive force in this world.
Thank you, brother. Your friendship and support mean more to me than I can tell you. So thank you very much for having me.
Lou, how can people take part in what you're doing? How can they delve into more of your wonderful voice and what you're doing in this world?
To keep it simple, everything I do on the Disney side of things is at wdwradio.com, and everything I do sort of on the speaking, business, consulting, mentoring side is at loumongello.com, and I'm at Lou Mongello on all the social.
That's amazing. So go follow Lou. You will not regret it. Again, if you are looking to grow your brand, or maybe just get some insight into how you can build what you're doing and really capture that dream and get the ball rolling, Lou's an amazing resource. Again, loumongello.com. Just an amazing resource. And I would be very remiss if I told you not to go check it out.
Thank you.
Well, that's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and were inspired to not only choose the good, but to be the good. Once again, I'd like to thank my guest, Lou Mongello, for coming on the show and sharing some of his life philosophy with us. If you're like me and you love all things Disney, I encourage you to check out Lou's show, WDW Radio, over on iTunes or Spotify. Want more of the Zac Brown Show? Check out the entire backlog of episodes on your favorite streaming service. You can also follow on Instagram and give us a like on Facebook. I'll post behind-the-scenes pictures and updates on all the latest episodes. So like, follow, comment, and subscribe. And if you're enjoying the show, I'd very much appreciate you leaving a review in iTunes. They're very helpful in getting the show to more listeners. I'm Zac Brown, and I want you to remember, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Have a good one.